Good afternoon. Welcome to this webinar presented by the Pasco Hernando chapter of SCORE. We are located in the Tampa area in Florida. Today we will be talking about the process to buy or sell a business. And for that, I have prepared some material that I will start sharing with you in order to support the conversation. The title is Considerations for Buying or Selling a Small Business. This has importance for small businesses or for big businesses or super large business. The process is the same. The examples we will be presented are a smaller scale, only to bring the conversation to numbers that we can manage in our system. My name is Jose Melgar, and I am a volunteer with the SCORE. I am a certified business mentor, and I have been presenting seminars for several years now. So a little background. Why am I talking about buying or selling business? Mostly because in SCORE we share experience. I have been for over 40 years now working in different countries, in different levels of business, mostly in international dealings. I have bought and sold companies everywhere: Australia, South Africa, all the US, Canada, all the Americas, so many, many times. After retirement, I have been now for 9 years as a mentor and presenting seminars in different states in the United States. And I, from time to time, present some publications of business and competition, mostly in other countries. So today we will be talking mostly about the steps to buy a business, because there is a certain process to be followed, certain protocol in order to make it successful. We do businesses as we please. It's our money, what we are risking. However, there are some protocols that have been established through experience. And that is what I will be using in order to have a sequence of my conversation. We will talk a lot about value in a business. When we buy a business, we buy value, and when we sell it, we sell value. There are always risks involved when we buy something from other person. We will talk about what kind of risks and what can we do to anticipate it. Then how do we establish a price? Different methods that are used. There are many, many. We will be talking mostly about 4 of them, the most used. What is a due diligence? And why is important for this kind of dealings? And then the professional support we will need if we are embarking in a big transaction. So steps. As I said, there is a certain sequence. I have outlined here some of the points. What is important is that we don't try to rush. We don't try to cut corners. So this sequence is important that we follow in the way we are talking here. So first, we find what business we are interested in. That is important, the process to finding it and determining that we really are interested in that business. Then how do we establish the value we assign to it? Then the process of negotiation, because we are not going to pay what the other person is asking. What is a letter of intent? We cannot give a letter before establishing the value of the business. what we assign to that is important to know before issuing a letter. Then after that, what is the due diligence? Then the last step is obtaining financing. We cannot ask for financing if we don't know how much money we will need. And then close the transaction. What are the risks we need to avoid when doing the final dealing? Of course, we will be talking about value a lot. How do we start finding value? It's important to see these 3 points. Any business, existing business or future business, needs these 3 points. It's like a 3-leg bench. If we are missing one leg, the bench cannot stand. So we need the 3 of them or we don't have a business. First, we need a product or service that somebody is willing to buy. If the product is not sellable, there is no reason to try to buy it. So it's important to define what product or service is being offered by this company. Then, does it have a network of clients? Does it have a clientele? Because we don't buy assets, we buy clients. If the business doesn't have clients, there is no business. An example could be that a business has been shut down for 6 months. So the clientele went away, went to other sources. And now some people are trying to sell it, but they are not selling a business, they are selling assets because the clientele went away. And the real value in a business are the clients, is where the money is going to come from the next day. When I open the door for business, where is the money going to come from? If there are no clients, there is no business. And then the third one, capabilities to deliver. Could be a good area, could be a good clientele, but the assets are not working, are not in a working condition. I could say that I am a baker. I have a good experience and I have a bakery, but the oven is damaged. The oven is not working, so there is no business. I am not selling a business because I am missing an important part of that. I cannot start shipping the next day. So those are 3 things: product, clients, and capability to sell. So then when we have established that, and we say, yes, there is value, I am interested. Okay, there is value today, but will there be value tomorrow, in 3 years, in 5 years? Why is this important? Because when I am buying a business, I am placing the network, the patrimony of my family in it. All my savings are there. And that is because I am expecting to build a network, to build something. And then in 5 years, I am planning to sell that business for a bigger value. The value needs to be there. That is why it's important, after determining that there is value today, is where do we expect to be this business in 5 years? Because it needs to have something different in order to survive. Is the product? Is the clientele? Is the cost structure? Or is the prestige? So there are many reasons why a business could keep their value. The product. I give you an example. During the big crisis in 2007, 2008, big companies came to acquire Chrysler, the manufacturer of cars, because it had the Jeep inside. They make all the Jeeps in the world are made by the old Chrysler. There were companies that said, I buy you only the brand. I give you $3 billion for the brand. Chrysler said, I cannot sell the Jeep brand because then the rest of the company will die. So the product was important, and that is what made it attractive for other companies to buy it. The clients. Somebody could have a food truck and say, I have the right to be the only food truck in the campus of the university. They don't allow anybody else to be here. So they have a clientele. That is what they are selling. And if I can keep that agreement with the university, then I will have that for many years. What is the cost? Can I make my product cheaper than the competition? Or can I deliver cheaper than the competition? Will that remain for several years? So those are the things we need to evaluate before saying we are willing to buy this business. In addition to the situation today, we should go with the eyes of looking for opportunities, because the person selling the business is selling what it is today. They offer what they have done so far, and they say this business is good because we have this and this and these things. That is the picture today. That is, if we are thinking in the future, we need to go there with the eyes of the opportunities. What else can I do with this business if I buy it to make it better, to get some savings or to get additional income? Give you an example. One person came to SCORE saying that they were willing to buy a laundry, and the laundry had a big room empty. So they said, I also have an accounting office. I can bring my assistants and adequate that room as an office, then I will stop paying rent in my current building, and this will be an additional thing for me to buy this laundry, even though it has nothing to do, but I saw an opportunity. Then could also be that I know things that the current owner doesn't know that can help me to improve the business. I could have contacts they don't have that will bring additional businesses here. So what are the opportunities that can make it more attractive for me, but I will not put that in the price? I will not be paying for that because that is something I will bring to this. So it's focusing what can be instead of what it is today. So now we say, we have seen the possibilities, we have seen the opportunities. I am interested. I am still not saying that I will buy, but I am interested. Then what are the risks? When we buy an existing business, it's like buying an old car or buying an old house. We don't know what is behind. So mostly the risks that could be involved, those are the big ones. Could be many others in specific places, specific deals, but those are the most common. So first, we need to avoid a scam, is the ownership. That is the most frequent risk, that the people that is selling the business has not all the legal rights to sell it. So then I could be buying a business, and then 3 weeks later, somebody comes and say, this is not yours. And then I will be in a problem. So first, I need to make sure that the person that is offering it for sale has the right to transfer ownership. There are legal risks. Could be demands to the company for previous things, malpractice in the past, or could be that the truck of this business had an accident 6 months ago, and people are presenting a demand, and the seller is trying to get rid of that before the problem appears. So there are many things that could be happening, and will be good that a lawyer give us at least some review of the situation, or how can we protect from that. Financial risk. So this business could have unpaid obligations, and then somebody will appear saying, this business owes me $300,000 and was not presented in the deal. Now we cannot find the seller anymore. We are facing a risk that we need to pay money for previous debts. An accountant can help us to anticipate this and to cover for the problem. So we cannot avoid risk, but we can anticipate and be prepared for them and reduce them. The important thing is that before making an offer, we make sure that we have thought, that we have discussed this, and we clearly understand that we are covered reasonably for these uncertainties. There is also the business uncertainty, is that could be I am buying a restaurant that is depending on a chef, and then 1 month later the chef says, well, the previous owner was my brother-in-law. I have no commitment to you, so I am quitting. So then the business will not be valid without that chef, because that chef had a specific recipes. So changes by the ownership can bring problems that we need to anticipate in order to keep the business running. Okay, so we have talked about that. Those are general things for any deal. So now let's start talking about how do we find the business. These are the most common ways how business are found by buyers. The most common, 30% of the deals are coming from employers. So people that have owned the business for 20, 25 years, now they are retiring, they offer that to the person of trust or to all the workers, saying, okay, we sell this to all of you and we will give you facilities to pay. So that is the most common way that people find business or find buyers, is coming from the previous employer. So then, if we don't have relationship with the business, we are new to the city, we are new to the state, and we want to buy a business, we look for brokers. There are people that find businesses like the realtors for real estate, the brokers. They have lists of businesses that are for sale. They charge a commission mostly to the seller. But we need to make sure that these people will be working for the seller and not for us. But that is how we find businesses. Banks. If we have a bank that we have been working for many, many years, and we have a good relationship with the management, they can tell us that our businesses offer for sale, that the bank would be interested to be intermediary in presenting us the previous owner, because the previous owner sometimes tell the banker, help me to find buyers. Advertising. We could advertise that we are looking for a business to buy, or we could read the advertisement from people that are selling their own businesses, looking for that in the internet. This requires a lot of detail, a lot of searching. This doesn't appear from today to next week. This is a work prospecting it, and also the word of mouth. People we meet, our network of friends, they can tell us what businesses are for sale, or they can spread the word that I am buying. So those are the most common ways to do it. Okay, so we have done the establishing the value. We have done all our homework. We say, yes, we are interested in buying this business. We are going to talk to the seller. But how much is that business worth? The important thing is to understand that never there is a right price. That doesn't exist. What is the fair price for that business? The price is established by the buyer. I deal with about 150 different persons every year at the SCOR. Come with different questions, different situations, many of them trying to sell their business. And I have seen people that say my business is worth $500,000, but they cannot find anybody to offer 300,000. So then the real situation is that the business is not worth 500,000. It's worth less than 300,000. It's not the buyer. Is the buyer who establishes how much he is willing to pay. And in the end, negotiations between the seller and the buyer is what will bring to the final price. And it's not just splitting the difference. We will see why splitting the difference is not the right way to do it. So now, if you are selling the business, the first thing is to be aware that your ability to sell will be your understanding of how much you can get for the business. You can offer the business for 500,000, but understanding that if you get 300, you will be good. So it's understanding how much other people will be willing to pay. So then how can we have the best decision when we are buying or selling? Is applying different methods to determine what will be the price that goes closer to our interest, and find a mix, because two similar business could be sold by two different, very different prices. I have seen a Subway restaurant being sold by $200,000 and another Subway restaurant being sold by $400,000. Nobody can say, well, that is the price of a Subway. It's the condition, the location, and many other considerations that are around, and how you can offer it the way you offer it or the way you negotiate it to buy. Some questions. Additional questions before buying. Is it a corporate business or a personal business? Are you buying the company or are you buying the assets? If the business is personal, so if it's managed by a family, by the owners, how will I, that I am buying, retain the recognition of the market? So if the customers come here because they are friends of the current owner, they are not my friends. How will I make them keep coming 2 months from now? How can I make the current owners to commit to stay here until I am familiar with the clients and the clients feel comfortable buying from me? That is something I need to include in my deal. How can I lock in employees? How can I avoid that the chef goes away in the first 2 months? Or the people that know where are key parts of the inventory, they could be leaving the company and then I don't know where I can find certain pieces of equipment that are needed. And I need to understand very clearly who is the competition today because I will be dealing with those competitors in the future. So these are additional questions. Now, what are the most used methods of valuation? There are many, as I said, but we will be talking about 4 because these are the most frequent used and those are the most logical, as we will see how we apply that for one example. Number 1 is annual sales. So for more than 100 years has been a universal measure of a business. So they say, this is a $300,000 business. It's because that business sells 300,000 roughly per year. This is $1 million business because that is the size of their sales. It's the size of the clientele. I have a business that is $3 million in sales. That is the size of my clientele. That is the money I bring into every year. That is the universal way. So mostly when people are selling the business, they start using this as a measure for the price. They say, okay, I want $1 million for that because you will be receiving that in the first year of sales. It's simple and it's easy to test. You can verify that the $1 million really exists. So then another one is the net book value. People say, no, I want to see your books. What is really the worth of this business? That is the value of the assets. After deducing the liabilities, the debts, and it's according to the books, because then you say, you don't like to the income taxes, so I want to see that. Very few people use that, but it is a reference and it's important to see it. We will see the comparison. Another one is calculate the asset liquidation valuation. That is mostly when a business is already in bankrupt or after a big disaster. So then the judge sends an appraiser and says, what is the value of these assets? Are these machines in good condition? Are they running? Can they be useful? So we will not be using this as an example because we are talking about business that are running. But this is also existing. And the most important one is the profit multiples, because what you are really interested, what I am really interested is how much profit, how much cash will I be receiving? Because sales, $1 million sales in cash, I have to deduct all the expenses. I have to pay rent, I have to pay utilities, I have to pay employees, transportation, to buy material, to make it, or to buy material to sell. So in the end, I could be selling $1 million, but I could be taking home only 30,000. So then what is important is the profit. How much profit will I be taking home? And then how do I use the multiples? We will be explaining that. But this is based on how much money in the end is the future owner going to take. That is why it's the most important. This is the example we will be using, the Geneva Bakery. Of course, these numbers for this example is fictitious, but let's say that the Geneva Bakery is in a very important street in Cleveland, Ohio. And the owner has been there for more than 11 years and has built a good clientele, is very known, people like it. and you see always full that bakery and people having some coffee and so, you like it. So, okay, you are interested. There is clientele, there is a product, and there are means to deliver. So you like it. You have used it, you have bought bake good baking there many times. You have taken many good products and then you say, I want it. The owner is selling it for $540,000. That is the asking price. Why? Because last year they sold 562. So it's 1 year sale. It's clear. So they say this is the size of the clientele. I am selling you a $560,000 clientele for 540. I am giving you a discount. It's good. So that is the reasoning. That is how he established the price. 1 year of sales. Okay, you say I want to see the books. This is the book value. And then you see that in their books, it says that the equipment, the furniture, and the inventory, so the flour, the oil, the packaging material, all that is needed to deliver is in a total of $121,000. And the business still owes $17,000 to the suppliers and $21,000 to the bank because the owner has taken loans from time to time to keep the business running or to improving, to buying new oven or whatever materials. So in this case, the value would be $121,000 because when you give that to the owner, he will pay his debt. So the price in this case would be $121,000. But that doesn't make sense because we are not including the value of the clientele. So we could go to the market and buy equipment for a kitchen, furniture, and new inventory. So we can duplicate this with $120,000. So then why would we be giving $500,000? This is theory, but there is no clientele. Really, what this person is selling for $500,000 is the clientele. Is the people that next day will be coming to buy from us. If I start from scratch in 2 blocks from here, people will still buy from him, not from me. It took 11 years for this person to build this clientele. So that person is selling that fruit today. So then I avoid the 11 years. That is why the book value is only a reference. So then we can say, okay, in the end, if things go bad, I still could sell this equipment for $120,000. That is the only reference we can take from here. But this is the use of the book value. So now let's talk about the profit multiples. As we said, what is important is how much will I take home? So last year, this business, according to the tax return, had $122,000 net profit. So after paying all the expenses, this was $122,000 before taxes. And the owner paid interest in $2,650 to that loan that we mentioned, the $21,000. So we put it back. Really, the business produced $125,000. That is what the owner could take home. That is what I could take home if I take over this business. That is what I should be using for my calculation. Then, when we say multiples, what is used is how many years will my investment take to recover if I operate this business? If I will be operating the bakery, if I will be the baker, I will be there every day working there. I will be taking $125,000. So that means that in 3 years, I will be receiving 375. I could use 3 years and a half, or I could use 4 years. Those are the multiples. So I say in 4 years, I could have 500,000. So I could be offering this business $500,000 to buy it, because in 4 years, I will have my money back and I will have the business. That is the point. How many years am I willing to wait to have my investment back? This doesn't take into consideration the sales figure. Is how much money, how many years will it take for me to have my investment back? If I put $500,000 in other kind of investment, it will take about 8-10 years to have it back. So then, this is what I need to compare. Is good for me 500? Or should I start offering for 38? Or should I go so low as 375? So that is my decision, how I consider that I'm good to negotiate. Because of course, the other person will not like it. They are expecting 540. So the starting point for negotiation is the decision of the buyer. So this is one way. Remember, this is if I am willing to work there every day, willing to be the baker personally. But what if I am not a baker? If I am working in a marketing company and I am already having a good salary of $200,000 a year, I don't want to be baking bread. But this is a good business. What do? I hire somebody. I find my niece that is willing to work for $63,000 a year to be there, and is a person of trust. So then I will go at the end of the day, every day, to see how things are going, but she will take care of it. So then I have to deduct $63,000 from the profit the business is going to give. So then I will be taking $62,000 instead of $125,000. But I will not be working. I still will keep my job of $200,000, and I will be receiving $62,000 additional. So now the comparison is how much I need to invest here to make it better than placing in a bank or placing in a mortgage market that could give me 10%. So if I place $500,000 in the mortgage, maybe it will give me $50,000. I don't know. Then this is my comparison. How many years? So it's different than before. So it will take longer. So if I use 4 years, so I say this would be $248,000. So I cannot buy this business for that. The seller will not accept. If I am willing to wait 7 years, I will have $435,000. So maybe that is my price. So that is how I make my decision, is how much the business is going to give at the end of the day. So it's my decision. Only I know my financial situation. Only I know my needs to make this decision. Then this is the comparison. The asking price is 540,000. If I go by annual sales, I am good because it's better than this. If I go by book value, I will be offering 121,000. Difficult to accept that. If I go by profit multiples, could be somewhere between 450 to 500,000. So where do I start the negotiation? We decide. But this is how we establish how much we are willing to pay. And how much is according to our interest. So this is why we say splitting the difference is not okay. Because if I say 500,000 and the guy say 540, I will be giving 520. So it's better to bring the negotiation closer to 450 and know where will we stop the negotiation. In what point will we say, no, I am better bringing this money to a bank to have a CD or to put it in the stock market. So wherever I find that is better option. Then, when we have agreed, this is just conversation, doesn't mean that is written in stone. So we say, we prepare a document that is called the sale agreement, and it establishes what are my obligations in dates and payments, and what are the obligations of the seller. It must be precise. We cannot say in 3 months or about 4 months. We need to say, by October 30, the buyer will bring $200,000. By January 1st, we'll bring, so needs to be precise. And exact quantities cannot be ambiguities. Nothing to interpretation, should be very clear, and should be penalizations. If I give you today $100,000, and then in 3 months you say you are not willing to sell it anymore, you have to give me my money plus 25,000. So what penalties? Or if I go back and I am not willing to go through the buy, so then the seller could say, okay, I will retain 50,000 from your 100,000. So we need to establish that very clearly in that document. Usually that is prepared by the attorney of the buyer, because he's the one who is putting the money. Of course, the other side reviews it and say if they agree or not. But this is the point to present the sale agreement. Okay, I offer you to give you $100,000 today. We sign this document, and then in 3 months, I will come with the rest and I will take over. And the business should be in this and this and this condition. That oven needs to be repaired, the truck needs to be in fair condition. So all the things that we notice now needs to be included there. That is why exists what is called due diligence. This is the point. So the moment we sign the document, I bring my experts. I bring my accountant. Maybe I talk to my lawyer. My lawyer tells me what I will be asking. I bring my inspectors to see if there are things in the building that will put that in jeopardy. If I am buying a problem, my accountant will review their taxes to see if there are no unpaid taxes. So what problems I could be facing? That is due diligence. That is a deep review. If I am investing $500,000, I will do a very deep review. If I am investing $6,000, of course, I will not spend so much time. We can do that in one day conversation, and I will inspect the place or I will inspect the truck. But It depends on the size of the investment. If I am investing $200 million, this could take 2 weeks in reviews or more. So both parties should prepare for the process. And the price could change because we say, okay, we agreed to $500,000, but now I find that there is a leak in gas there that is radon or whatever. So now the price is $90,000 lower because that will bring penalties and so on to see if the other person accepts. That should be established in the document that these kind of problems appear, what will be the decision. Okay, so we have finished the due diligence. We have finished the final price. So we are all in agreement. Then I go to look for money, because this is different than starting a new one. We saw that starting a new bakery could be 120,000, but now I am looking for 500,000. It's a bigger investment. So then it's better that I share my risk. Somebody else should take some of this. I could be looking for the seller to accept financing, to say, okay, you want 500,000, but I only can give you 200,000 now, and then every year another 100,000 until we complete that in 3 years. That doesn't mean that person will accept, but that is one way. Maybe they come with another proposal, but that is a way to alleviate the need for money. Venture capital, I could go looking for investors. Somebody that says, okay, I have the money for that, but I will control 60% of the business. I will take 60% of the profits. Then I become an employee of the investor. It doesn't make more sense, but it happens. People have done that. And then the last one is the bank loans. So then the buyer needs to have a good credit history and some money to put there. So if I am in need of 500,000, in this case, I will have to tell the bank, I will be placing 200,000 and I need you to lend me 300,000. The bank will need to see my solid business plan, to see if the business is really worth that risk. They will do another due diligence of my business plan. So I need to be prepared for that. So these are the ways to obtain money for that. Some people say, oh, if I get a grant, there are no grants to buy a business. That doesn't exist. So we cannot use that for this. Then what to avoid when I am buying a business? So some people say, I have to buy that. Is that laundry? No, I don't want another one. I want that. That is a mistake. If I do that, if I take that position, the seller is having an advantage because I will accept whatever the seller wants. So I should be willing to walk away any moment to say, no, I don't deal anymore, because then I am transferring the power of the buyer to the seller. Number two is we can see the market conditions. I have seen people buying a laundry just to find out that 2 months later, that street will be starting to have a big repair that will take 6 months without customers being able to reach the place. So that is a big problem. So I need to see what is the environment. Why they are selling this business in this neighborhood and all the other business in the strip mall are empty. So something in this market tells me that I should be very careful. Doesn't mean that I don't buy. It's just to be careful and find out why. So if there is history of poor financial management, so let's say that the people there didn't pay attention to any controls. So they were using money from their pocket. They were taking money from the customers and putting in their pocket without placing in the banks or so. So that business, so the employees should be accustomed to bad practices. So we need to be aware that will require a lot of discipline to put some order in the house. And rushing through the due diligence. So the seller could be saying, oh, I don't have time to do this because I have to sell it by the end of August. So then I rush and I don't do all the due diligence. That goes against me. Don't rush. Some other business will appear. And unrealistic financial projections. They could be showing me, oh, this business has been growing at this pace, and now the potential will be this for the future. Those could be unrealistic. So have our expert, somebody with us to help us make that decision. Now, if we are selling a business, all these things are valid for both sides. Then the seller needs to be basing the price in realistic expectations. We already have seen why. Needs to make the business look good. So if the buyer comes and sees things in the floor, connections, loose connections, so bad appearance, that will not help me to get a good price. I need to make it attractive for somebody to buy it. It's like detailing the car I want to sell. So same thing for the business. I need to search for many buyers, not for the first one that appears, many buyers in order to be able to choose. I need to be prepared to negotiate, to get the best deal closer to my expectation. And then when I do the final closing, when I give the keys, I need to file documentation with the IRS telling them I have sold this business, it's not my responsibility anymore, so I will not be responsible for taxes after today. So we need to do that to avoid risks in my taxes. Of course, this is a lot. We cannot do that by ourselves. Nobody can. We always need support. Of course, we already mentioned brokers. Those are agents that will find us to find businesses and to intermediate. We will be talking to those brokers in order to ease the conversations. They know a lot of what we have been talking, of the evaluation method and so on. They will help us even to appraise it. There are also appraisers that are some of them work separate from the brokers. They will do the appraise for us. They will charge us money. They will say, okay, I will do the work for $20,000 to establish a good price for this if you are willing to pay for it. Accountants, we already understand why. Lawyers, some take seminars as much as we can because those give us more and more ideas, and we find people to network, people we can ask for more information. Then we open our horizon when we are doing this kind of deals. And the more and more we talk to prospective businesses, we will be learning if we don't buy the first one that appears. And then at the end, SCORE is a free service and it's available for individual support. So you ask for a mentor, that mentor will be with you. It's not for all the community. The mentor is dedicated and the SCORE will charge no cost to you, because that is the purpose of a SCORE, to assist small business owners. SCORE is in all the USA. We have almost 12,000 volunteers in all the country. And last year, we touched more than 550,000 businesses in the US through mentoring sessions and workshop attendees, people that attended workshops like this. So all those people started 31,000 businesses, new businesses last year. That is the purpose of SCORE. We are funded partially by the SBA, and that is our mission. And we are all volunteers. That is why all these services are free of charge. So we can find my chapter at the website I mentioned in the last line, score.org at Pasco Hernando. There is additional material that if you go to our website, you will find material that will give you more information about how value in businesses, different recorded webinars that we have there, and there are webinars or material how to perform due diligence. And also, the best help is to ask for a mentor dedicated to you to help you in this process. They will not do the work for you. They will guide you to have a better informed decision. So at this point, I thank you for your attention. And if you have questions, you can present them in the Q&A or the chat, and we will be dealing with them now. If you want copies of this material, this is my personal email. I can send link for this recording. So other than that, then I give you thanks again. Thank you for your time. Thank you for participating, and you are inviting for future SCORE webinars. Have a good day.